Today we're going to learn how to do a machine embroider on a Janome MemoryCraft 9700. We're going to do this on terry cloth. Even if you're not using the same machine, your hooping skills are going to still be the same, your stabilizers are going to be the same, and a lot of your setup is going to be the same, especially if you're using a Janome. The supplies you're going to need to make this is your other towel, your templates. Now, I have two here and I'll explain that later. I have the regular A template, and then this is the one for terry cloth or other delicate fabrics template, and the actual hoops. You're also going to need a tearaway stabilizer, which as you can see I'm pretty thrifty. I use them until I can't use them anymore, and a water soluble stabilizer. Just a thin one. You don't have to use the heavy duty stuff. I keep mine in a plastic bag and I keep it with silica gel in it, and that keeps the moisture from getting out. Because now, as you can see, I've already marked my center with a pin going down and across to make a cross here. Now, it doesn't have to be exact because you're going to line it up with your template more importantly than anything, because this is what line you're going to want to stay true to. That's the one that's going to catch your eye, because even if your fabric might be crooked, and sometimes towels are, that's not going to make a big deal. So flip it over. I can see my crossed pins, and you don't spray the terry cloth. You spray the stabilizer. This is a cut or a tearaway. I like the spray adhesive. It just makes it so much easier than trying to hold it on there, and it doesn't really leave a residue. I use the 505 spray and fix. I flip this over. Now I'm going to slip in the bottom part of the hoop. This is hoop F. This is really good for stretchy fabrics, fleece, and terry cloth, anything that you don't want to leave you don't want to stretch out too much. The difference between this is instead of putting it in the top of your hoop like you do the regular ones, this isn't like that. This is a spring in, so you have to kind of fiddle around, and I've got my center point here. And make sure that all the writing is going the right way, because it makes a bit of a difference. And then I keep moving it around until I've got it where I want it. And I'm using this line to get this line on the bottom of my template to gauge with this line on my towel to make sure that it's laying straight, and it is. So with that held down, then I pinch this in real well. And make sure that's centered still. And there you can see it's nice and centered. There's my pins. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to take out my pins. I don't need them anymore. And I'm going to get out the stabilizer next, or the water soluble stabilizer. This will keep all of your loops from popping up. Some people hoop the stabilizer, but I just think I don't like to use the spray adhesive on the top on this water soluble. So I bend it down, and I've never had any problems with it this way. And when you hoop it, I think it stretches it out, and then you end up with more wrinkles, and I just don't like using it that way. Usually 4 or 5 well-placed needles. I broke my needle. You know, make sure that you don't actually put your needles in harm's way. Now, this is ready to go right into the machine. Before I load the machine, we need to go in and set the pattern. This particular pattern is off of a download that I already had in the computer. The more stuff you have on your disk, the longer it takes for this part to come up. Now it says it's ready to sew, but I don't want just this one thing. So I'm going to go back and edit, and it's on the wrong size. It's on my larger hoop. Now I'm using the F hoop, but it says AF on here. You want the A or F because they're really the same size. And then I'm going to change the size of the actual Now the Janome MemoryCraft only goes up to 120%, otherwise your stitches get loose. And then that one's going to go all the way over. Then back to my memory card. %120% on that one as well. Uh-oh, I want that back up. I had it centered in, so all I have to do is go left and right, and the letter L should just go directly in the center without me having to move it at all, just make it bigger. That's on the next page. Of course, if you wanted to move them around or whatever you want to do, that's fine. This is just how I set it up to make it a little bit easier. Now this is okay. It's all set. And that's when the arm will move. Next, it's just time to load the towel. Always make sure you've got enough room behind your machine to move the arm around. I think that was the very first mistake I made. I didn't break it, but I thought I did. Actually, I'm going to say these machines take a lot of beating because I've tried my very best to break this one. I'm going to bring this machine forward so I've got room for the towel. I don't want it drooping off the back. You usually still will pull it around really well, but I don't want to take any chances. Alright, I have it all loaded in and where I want it. And time to press start. Let it go a couple of stitches. Stop, just like any other embroidery pattern. And clip the string, just make sure you get the right one. Now I kind of still keep a half an eye on it just to make sure that this mess over here on the side doesn't fall in. But for the most part, it goes on its own. We'll give that a little time. According to my little screen, it takes 11 minutes for the entire pattern. Alright, now the program is done running. All the stitches are done. Take it off of here. Sometimes your needle wants to catch on this. I'm going to keep this nice and flat. Get the solvay off, it's really easy. Now I'll have to have some trimming up and some fluffing up, but other than that, this is it. We're done. It turned out really nice. All of the stitches are still nice and full, and none of the loops came up through the top. The back is nice and even. There's almost no white showing. There's a little bit showing, but that's normal. And none of the white has come through the top either. So the tension was good. The solvay was good. And then this will rip off. Of course, you want to trim your little threads before you take this off. It'll make it coming off a lot easier. Well, I hope that helps you out, and you can make some of these too. This